maybe do a couple of talkings, maybe learn you something, maybe talk about what's going on in the world, help you make sense of this crazy place. What's up? I'm Aaron Love, your resident PJ here on the War Room. So if you don't know what the War Room is, I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that you subscribed. It's just four dudes that did some special operations time in their background. And now the only thing we care about is giving you exactly what you need to be successful, whether that's mentorship, a calm, actual, rational look at the things that are going on inside of our world right now. Maybe you just need a little bit. Maybe you need to hear Ben Pappas, our Marsoc Raider. Maybe you need to hear him tell you about how he's going to beat to death a CVS employee one of these days. That is 100% happening. Welcome back. We are here at the political sit rep. We're going to do this every Tuesdays. It's going to be live at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, or 9 p.m. I screw it up every time. Aaron Love Hate Club is going to roast me in the chat for not being able to figure out the simple timing of what it is that we're doing here. So you will be here live at 6. We're going to talk about stuff from culture to military stuff. Mainly, we're going to focus on the political stuff. So if you're not followed, make sure to follow everybody up. The other members of the War Room, of course, you've got Jay Dorlius. He is a retired Green Beret. He came out of 18 or 20 years in the service. He retired as a master sergeant. He's over at Green Beret Chronicles. You can follow Jake Zwig everywhere where he is. That dude is absolutely just insane. Jake is probably right now. I can't even tell you what Jake is actually doing right now because it could literally be anything from pottery to who knows what's going on. So no clue what Jake is doing right now, but I'm sure it's probably something absolutely wild. I want to say what's up to everybody in the chat. What's up, Mason? What's going on, Cotton? How's David K? What's going on? Lovely seeing you guys in there. And so that I don't forget to round out our War Room crew, we've got Ben Pappas, we have myself, we've got Jay, we've got Jake, we've got longtime and invited guest Nate from Valhalla VFT. He's doing great things over there as well. I'll be following the chat as much as I possibly can and giving you all the thumbs up. Jasmine, what's going on? We're going to hit your NATO question a little bit later in the political sit rep as we got going here. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about because that's what any good briefer does. We're going to start with a story that I absolutely hate. What's up, John? Absolutely freaking hate, and it made me insanely mad to talk about. If you guys were following the War Room story, go over and follow our IG account and a Facebook account if you could. I'd really appreciate that. We're trying to get the biggest audience we possibly can to have more about these talks. Carter, what about Peaches? Well, he's over at the One's Ready podcast. That's where you might find me other than my Instagram at Aaron_loves_America. Aaron Loves America over on Twitter. The One's Ready podcast has a completely different feel. Peaches is a longtime guest and a guy that I love recently, an almost completely out retired dude, combat controller. But that's not what we're talking about. Don't get me distracted on talking about Peaches because I'll talk about him forever. So we're going to hit a bunch of stories today. We're packing a bunch of value into this hour. We're going to talk first about some transgender attention seeking, and God bless America. It had to be a PJ, didn't it? So we're going to hit that one up first. We're going to talk a little bit. I'm hoping to give you some entertainment, also some education. Maybe you call it edutainment. I don't know what we're going to call that stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically talk about the USDS and how that turned into Doge, and then all those great things that Doge are doing. I've got some memes to spice it up in there. So you guys are going to love the memes that I got for you as far as that's concerned. Man, we're going to hit the Make America Healthy alignment with the MAHA movement is great. My great friend, UFC nutrition coach, Tyler Minton, all around great dude from True Serum Podcast. He and I collaborated on a reel. We're going to talk a little bit about how to make America healthy again. We're going to go right down. And I don't know if you guys have heard, but man, we're putting special forces soldiers in harm's way in Mexico. We designated the cartels as terrorist organizations, and now the CIA might be playing a larger role in there. We're going to talk about exactly how bad that can be with a special guest appearance. We're going to have a little bit of a background on when the last time that it went bad when we were training the Mexicans. It's Los Zetas. They've entered the chat. We're going to go ahead on. We're going to talk about Trump. Special request from Jasmine in the chat. What's up? You wanted to talk about Trump possibly floating, leaving NATO. Now, those are unconfirmed reports. I'll tell you straight up. The guy that said it deleted his tweet and didn't provide anything on the backside, so to speak. So we'll talk about that. Then we're going to end with two politicians, right? One of them I absolutely love. I think he's doing a great thing. We're going to talk about Pete Hegseth and launching his probe into Afghanistan with the Withdrawal. I love Pete Hegseth. And then my favorite recurring segment, we are going to talk about the dumbest politician that I found doing show prep. So without further ado, I hate to do it, everybody. I absolutely hate to do it, but I'm going to have to share this clip from CNN. Now, I'm going to play it a little bit. It's pretty quick. I am going to subject you to CNN. There should be a little disclaimer that we have on here, like when I'm going to play you something from CNN. I just can't believe that this is even a real thing that I have to deal with right now. So I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to make it full screen for you because I respect you as people. Now, what you're going to see here is two women talking. Okay. I want to stress this. I deal in facts and I deal in the real world. So what we're going to have here is we are going to have a woman talking to another woman about how they're trying to get into Air Force. And let me tell you, the depths of my soul, way down to my cockles. I don't know if you guys know where the cockles are. The depths of my soul, I was like, please, fuck, don't be a PJ.
Right now, a lawsuit over the new policy that keeps transgender individuals from joining the military is playing out in a D.C. courtroom. Transgender military members and others are suing. Clayton McAllister joins us now. He is transgender, and his plans to join the Air Force next month are now on hold because of this policy.
Okay, let's hold right there. So the policy that she's referring to is Trump's ban on transgender individuals, saying that they don't possess the requisite skills or physical attributes needed to serve inside the military. Now, we know we talk about DEI and woke stuff all the time here on this program. You know how it goes. It's not going to go away overnight. Now, this is a woman. This is a biological female that is talking here. I will not use their preferred pronouns. I will not call them what they want to be called because, again, I deal in facts. So let's see what this woman has to say about her potential Air Force journey.
First of all, can you explain where in the process of joining the Air Force you are and what your reaction was, what the impact has been for you when Trump signed the order and your plans were paused?
Yeah, absolutely. I had already actually signed my contract. So I was supposed to ship out on March 4th.
Let's just
I had quit my job
right
and 2 days later got the call that I was put on.
Wearing the shirt, you're in the dev program, wearing the shirt, and you're putting the Air Force out on blast like that, my girl. Why are we doing it? Why? Well, I'll head you off at the end here. It's because attention-seeking behavior. So let's see what this woman has to say.
Hold. So it was less than 30 days before my ship date. So yeah, the news was traumatizing to hear because I've been working really hard for this, and it's
traumatizing to hear, says the young woman.
It's really set my family back on our plans that we had kind of planned out, and this was kind of the basis for all of them.
You're married, what I read, you have a child. You have applied to be.
Point of clarification, she would have to have the child because she's the female. Okay. How much test do you think that this person is on? In the chat, can we guess here, like how much test this person has to be on to look and sound the way they do as a biological female? Just give me like a little answer on how much test do you think this person is possibly on, even to just present the appearance.
Part of an elite Air Force special warfare team that specializes in rescue missions.
Oh no, you said rescue missions. Don't be PJ. Don't be PJ. Don't be PJ. Don't say the word pararescue. For the love of God, lady, don't say pararescue.
Part of President Trump's executive order says, quote, expressing a false gender identity divergent from an individual's sex cannot satisfy the rigorous standards necessary for military service. Knowing what your program entails and what you already had to get through to get to the point where you were, what do you think when the president says transgender troops can't meet rigorous standards?
Don't say PJ. Just don't say PJ. You can be anything else. I had this lady pegged as going in as special reconnaissance, and we all know why. Let's just please not PJ.
It's definitely hard to hear because I've been working really hard to get to where I am. Like I said, I train all the time, just like everybody else. And when I go out to my training events that I try to go to once a week, I'm at the top of the standards.
No,
there's a lot of people that come and can't pass the fitness test that it takes to get even a contract for pararescue.
You know, I try to be a better person, everybody. I really do. I try to be a better person. And this makes me mad. Now, I want to make it clear, I'm not speaking for all PJs. I'm sure there are some PJs out there that are fine or that don't care. They're even like, why are we even giving this any breath? I'm giving it to you because the theme for the show is I'm going to give you the headline that they should have read as opposed to the headline that you guys actually got. So luckily or unluckily, as it seems, I found an article about this young woman, and I was able to pull it up. It was written by purportedly the very first. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. I got to find the link here. It was the very first person in their space, so to speak, is a transgender female in the Army. Okay, so once again, that's a guy that says they're a girl, and then they use that in order to garner attention, and that's what this is. It's attention-seeking behavior. So here in this suite, look at this. Oh man, just look, the special warfare candidate, the logo, the branding, the thousands of people that have died giving their life for these symbols and for that symbology. And here we have this attention seeker insisting that they're going to do good, facing barriers and finding resolve. McAllister's journey to enlistment has been anything but easy. Well, yeah, first of all, lying to your entire family and saying, in fact, that you're a guy when you're not, and then getting on irreversible hormone therapy that's probably going to, if the statistics bear themselves out, ruin this young woman's life, stop her ability from having children in the future, and provide irreparable harm to everybody that is around this person. Yeah, I would say that that's not super easy. After earning her bachelor degree, she decided to pursue pararescue. By the way, that's a proper noun. You should put a big P on it. Big P, obviously not here for this female. You get it. It was a dick joke. Through the enlisted route, knowing it would bring her closer to the hands-on work she wanted to do. But when she switched tracks to commission as an officer, her enlistment was flagged and she was disqualified for gender dysphoria. Now, gender dysphoria is a literal DSM-5 limiting function. You cannot have gender dysphoria and be in the military. If you are thinking that you are a male when you are in fact a female, as this person is doing, you are not fit to serve in the military. That's been the case forever. And it was finally organized and codified inside of an executive order. Here's the problem. When you say that you are going to try to come into the Air Force and you say you're a guy and you're in fact a woman, there's a whole host of things that should prevent you. You're not allowed to take hormones inside. Is everybody allowed to take testosterone now? Is everybody allowed to take the cocktail of medicines that this person is inevitably on in order to support their gender dysphoria, their verified mental illness per the DSM-5? I bet they're not. I bet if you get caught with a can of dip at any one of these selections and you get in trouble for that, you get like kicked out. They will absolutely crush you for having contraband. I wonder how it is that that person, that woman, is going to be able to take the injections that she needs. So as we look here, and again, I'm going to give you the headline. The headline of that specific article said, "Service Beyond Gender, Clayton McAllister's Pursuit and Purpose and Dream of Service." What it should say is, Clayton McAllister, attention seeker, decides to ruin her family's life by going on CNN and being a silly goose. I just don't have enough anger in my heart to let out for this person right now. I don't understand this. You are making this about yourself. That's not what military service is about. I'm sorry that you had a dream and that dream was taken away from you by your own standards here unfairly, but that's not the fact of the matter. You are not qualified for military service, and this woke nonsense has got to freaking stop. I think that's all I got to say on that issue. Listen, 91% of the people that try out for pararescue, they fail. Those are 91% able-bodied, dyed-in-the-wool savages that try every single year, 5 selections a year to get picked up for pararescue. As it stands currently, we don't have any female pararescue operators, either on the officer side of the house, which is Crow, or on the PJ side of the house. Maybe there will be one in the future. If they make the standard, that's the standard. But we don't allow people with mental illnesses to grift off of the United States government. How much do you think that person's health care would cost throughout their career? How much do you think that we would need to have accommodations for that person throughout their entire career in order to support their mental delusion? And that's not me saying it. Gender dysphoria is a mental illness issue outlined in the DSM-5, and it's prohibitive for service members with mental issues to get into the United States military. So aside from all this whining and crying and pretending to be who you're not, this isn't the place for you. Meritocracy is back, and we are here for it. And I don't want to hear this nonsense ever again. I just can't even figure out what it is that we're talking about here. Chad, if you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please do so. It'd be great. We're going to transition, get it, into another thing that I desperately want to talk about. Let me take you back to Obama, okay? And you might be thinking to yourself, Aaron, what does Obama have to do with anything? Well, I'll feed you, baby birds. I got you. Come along with Uncle Aaron. We're going to have a little talk. I'm going to bring you back to something Obama enacted by executive order. Obama is the executive in his administration, right? He runs the executive branch. He's the only duly elected official at the head of the executive branch. And back in the day, Obama thought to himself, you know what I need? I need an organization. We're going to call it the United States Digital Service, as you're looking here on the screen. What's the mission of that? To deliver better government services to the American people through technology and design. That's interesting. What are the objectives here? The objectives of Obama's USDS: continually improve critical government services. Okay, that sounds good. Bring top tier technical talent to public service. Okay, that's pretty crazy. That sounds like a good idea. Partner with federal agencies and scale digital best practices and rethink how the government buys digital services. We see their values here. We see everything we want to get after, create momentum, go where the work is, hire and empower the great people, find the truth, tell the truth. Well, I got to be honest with you. Looking at this USDS origin story, it was founded by President Obama in August of 2014. The U.S. Digital Service brought together the best engineering, design, and government talent to change our government's approach to technology. Now, I know what you might be thinking, Aaron. The second worst president in United history. Well, okay, I'm gonna give the devil his due here. Woodrow Wilson was the worst president that we've ever had in the history of the United States of America. There is no number two. Like if I could go, when I go to hell and I fight somebody that I find in hell, it's going to be Woodrow Wilson. I'm going to beat him to death again in hell because that's how terrible and how divisive and how awful he was for the United States of America. If you guys don't know the history of Woodrow Wilson, go check it out. Go check it out and see exactly how bad he was for America. Now, all that being said, Obama was still number 3 on that list. Obama was the worst president. If you look at racial division, if you look at the way that we talk to one another, if you look at terms like safetyism and words are violence and all these other things, attacks on police officers, they spike right in the middle of Obama's term. Why is that? It's because he was a terrible president. That's why. Well, number 3 on that list is Obama. Number 2 is obviously Joe Biden. We're still feeling the effects of his terrible presidency. But, in his defense, he didn't even know he was president. So he was just kind of a dude that was eating ice cream every once in a while and asked to talk to reporters and take fake vaccines, whatever. Obama, why would I bring him up? Why would I bring up that Obama made the USDS and that was the mission of that specific organization? I told you I would feed you, baby birds. Here's the president. President Donald J. Trump, number 45, number 47, currently the man that's saving America, establishing and implementing the president's Department of Government Efficiency. You know it as Doge. Now, Doge is in the news. They're doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff. They're taking a whole bunch of technologically savvy people and re-envisioning how the government works. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, wow, that's exactly what the USDS was there to do. Well, as if the man was playing 4D chess, he says specifically here, establishment of a temporary organization. There shall be a USDS administrator. He even kept the same name. Reorganization in Section 3, reorganization and renaming of the United States Digital Service. It's hereby publicly renamed as the United States Doge Service. This was completely legal under Obama. This is a 4D chess move by the Trump admin. In consultation with USDS, each agency head shall establish within their respective agencies a Doge team of at least 4 employees, which may include special government employees hired or assigned within 30 days of this order. Agency heads shall select Doge team members in consultation with the USDS administrator. So, a little cheat code that I'm going to give you here. When people give you this nonsense and all of this crap that you hear about, oh, Doge is an unelected official. You know who else is an unelected official? Dr. Anthony Fauci. He lied to you. He used OSHA to cram down a vaccine mandate on 80 million Americans and caused reparable harm through the NIH. He wasn't elected. Is Jerome Powell the guy that sets your interest rates? Was he elected? Do you guys have a vote for him? How about the head of the CDC? How about the head of the National Health Service? Were they elected? Did you guys vote for them? How about the head of the CIA that's spying on you? How about the head of the FBI, which weaponized the D.O.G.E? How about the head of the D.O.G.E? Anybody elect him? No, because they all work for the executive branch. They serve at the pleasure of the president. So we have a USDS that was made by Obama legally by executive order. He very famously said, if I can't get it done in legislation, I'm going to get it done with a phone and a pen. And that's exactly what he did. And now the only people that Democrats have a problem with right now is Obama. The only thing that President Trump is like, I see the USDS. It's going to be great. I'm going to give it different looks. I'm going to give it different abilities. I'm going to call it the same thing. He called it the same thing The United States Doge service, USDS, made by Obama. There's no leg to stand on here when people talk about, oh goodness, what are we going to do because of the Doge? Looking into everything. It gives me vibes of like all these people that are freaking out over what Doge is doing. And we're going to look at this Fort Knox story next. When people are looking at Doge and saying to themselves, oh, these unelected bureaucrats bringing in all these techies. My favorite was when CNN had to say big balls like 10 times. And then Elon Musk changed his name to Hairy Balls just to make them say it, like master troll maneuver. Absolutely freaking fantastic. When they complain about these unelected bureaucrats and getting in, they sound like they got cheating. Like it's like you're in a relationship, right? And your significant other comes to you and goes, I went into your phone and I found you cheating on me. Right now, the Democrats are like, oh, what? You went through my phone? Oh, you looked into it? And now oh, I can't trust you now. You betrayed my trust. And they're acting like a jilted lover that just got caught cheating. They're mad for what we found. And nobody is having this. You'll see this narrative over and over and over again when we talk about Doge. Is people will be like, oh, well, I don't like the way the Doge is doing it. I don't like. How about the billions in fraud that they've uncovered? How about the billions of tax? How about we're going to look at it a little bit later, but how many dead people were we paying Social Security to again? Why is it that we have 30 million more Social Security numbers on the rolls of the Social Security Administration than we have citizens in America? That kind of makes that 2020 election seem a little bit weird, right? Like, how did Joe Biden get 80 million votes? Well, it's because we had 30 million extra Social Security numbers just floating around for people that were getting these payments. $4.7 trillion was not made to adhere by the standard accounting process. The latest thing that was breaking just before we got on here is that Doge can't even trace those payments with everything that they've got going on. Doge can't even actually tell us where those payments left. So that brings us to today. Elon Musk eyes Fort Knox as the next target. What we know about its $400 billion gold supply. Now, America's not on the gold standard anymore. I'd love to get back to the gold standard as opposed to the petrodollar, but we moved away from that in the 1970s. So Fort Knox is supposed to house about $400 billion worth of gold. And by the way, this is just a fun thing, but they say here that it's trading at X in Troy. I'll have to find. Oh yeah, 433 billion. Gold trading at $2,930 per troy ounce. I didn't even know what that was, so I had to look it up. So let's learn together. So a troy ounce, it's not 16 ounces in a pound, it's 12 ounces in a pound. They basically took all kinds of precious metals and gems and they invented this ounce, and they give the breakdown. I can tell you the breakdown. I had to use ChatGPT for it. I'm not that smart. But basically, it's a way to measure gold, so it's standard across all things. So this place has only ever actually been like cracked open like 3 times, right? So in its history, it's only been checked 3 times. So it happened in 1943 for President Franklin D. Roosevelt, in 1974 for 10 Congress members to break down cobwebs to reassure the public that their gold is intact and safe. And in 2017 for a delegation including Senator Mitch McConnell and then Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. The Musk-led skepticism about whether the Fort Knox gold supply matches the government's accounting strikes a similar tune. The New York Times article on the 1974 gold visit was headlined, visitors get a sneak peek at Fort Knox gold. It's there. Now, call me a conspiracy theorist. Okay. But you're telling me that we haven't opened this thing up except for maybe 10 other people since 1974. And you expect me to believe that it's all there? No, I don't. I don't believe you, because I just absolutely do not understand how it is that you're just going to take that at face value. I also didn't think we had 30 million Social Security numbers on Social Security. I also didn't think that we were going to be sending millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars for far-flung places across the world. How many millions did we spend on trying to develop an Iraqi Sesame Street? If it's $1, it was too much. And it was in the millions of that. The USAID scandal breaking open is the biggest scandal on the face of the planet. USAID is 1% of our normal budget. And that's what the attack from the left is on this stuff is, oh, well, it's only 1%. We found billions in fraud, waste, and abuse inside of 1%. What do you think is going to happen when Pete Hegseth opens the doors, which, by the way, they're in the Pentagon and they're in the DOD? What happens when they open the door and they start looking at the military in general? You've heard all the jokes about $90,000 for a bag of bushings and $500 for a toilet seat. Them ain't jokes, homie. That's how this stuff goes. And if you think for a second that I'm believing that there's just all this gold in Fort Knox, but just nobody's ever in there. To his credit, too, Elon Musk, for all of the detractors that are talking about, oh, well, this guy isn't transparent or whatever else. First of all, he's the most transparent guy on the face of the planet. Like, I don't even know how to be more transparent than he is. An example of this, they have a live tracker, everybody. Polymarket puts up how much he saved, $55.0 billion. And some say those estimates are low with how fast they're moving. By the way, if you scroll down here, you can bet on everything. Bet responsibly. Don't bet money that you're not supposed to be betting. But I'll tell you what, if you don't think I'm going to put a couple of dollars on a couple of these long shots, you're crazy, because I'm a degenerate. And that's what I do with my life. But Elon Musk says he's going to live stream it. He's going to show it on the film when he goes into Fort Knox. I hope it happens. He hasn't led us astray one time, except for those condoms that were supposed to go to Gaza, but they were going to Mozambique. My favorite, reporter tried to ask a gotcha question there. Oh, well, those condoms weren't going to Gaza. They were going to Mozambique to prevent the spread of AIDS in Africa. Okay, well, it shouldn't be going there either. And how many condoms is that? That is an extensive amount of condoms. It's like, what else? I guess, in Mozambique, Africa, maybe that's all you're doing. You know what I mean? So anyway, what are some other things that Doge is getting after? Well, here's another thing that Doge has been getting after, and here's a weird thing that happened. Now, here's what I have for you. Social Security's top official resigns after clash with Elon Musk's Doge. Here's what Elon had to say about it.
To delete entire agencies as opposed to leave part of them behind. Because if you leave part of them behind, it's easy. It's kind of like leaving a weed. If you don't remove the roots of the weed, then it's easy for the weed to grow back. But if you remove the roots of the weed, it doesn't stop weeds from ever growing back, but it makes it harder.
You guys get the vibes here. You guys get what we're trying to get at. Now, here's the funny part about that, is that the head of Social Security, immediately after clashing with Doge and with Elon Musk on it, she just quit. She was the acting head of the Social Security Administration. And after talking to Doge, she was like, nah, you can't fire me because I quit. Now, here's the first of a couple memes that I happen to find absolutely hilarious. So resigning before your agency is audited by Doge in defiance. It's an admission of guilt. Thank you, Jim Halpert. I really appreciate it. You're very handy having your meme in this sort of scenario here. But here's the other thing. I've mentioned it a couple times. Donald Trump Jr. put out a great tweet on this bad boy, complete with a little visual. So as we look here, thoughts and prayers to the tens of millions of Americans above the age of 100 who are still collecting Social Security and remain on those rolls. I'm sure this is totally legit. So a little inside baseball here. When they say the death field is set to false, that means that they're not dead. So basically the way it's programming, right? So if the death field is set to true, then that says yes, then they're dead. Every single person, every single number here. And look at all these. 100 to 109, 4 million Americans. 110 to 119, 3 million Americans. 120 to 129, 3 million Americans. Do you guys know any 120-year-olds? 3 million? That's like roughly what, 1% of America? You're telling me there's 1% of people that are walking around? Look at all these numbers. 4, 7, 10, 13, 16 million in between 100 and 149 that are still receiving Social Security benefits that are not in fact dead. This little part right here makes me think about the 2020 election. How did Joe Biden outperform by 80 million votes? He was the least popular president in the history of America by the time that he got out. His approval rating was absolutely through the floor. And you're telling me that he got 80 million votes. Well, I just went through with quick math and I found about 18 million votes right there. Did we not? Now, I'm not saying that the 2020 election was stolen or there was large malfeasance, but I am saying it bears to look at. And people will tell you, oh, it was COVID, it was mail-in ballots, it was all these other things that kind of led to it. Nobody had anything to do and they were hyperpolarized and everybody voted via mail-in ballots. Now, if you believe that, I've got a bridge that I would really like to sell you, because that is just absolute freaking nonsense. So when you have somebody that goes in and goes, hey, I found millions of people, tens of millions of people that are on this roll that should not be, one, receiving benefits, and we can't trace it now. Some of it sent overseas. And number two, what do you mean there are people that are in the Social Security Administration that are not alive, that are still granted the money that we're sending from the Social Security Administration. There's a lot of talk out there about when is Social Security and when is it going to, you know, become insolvent. People are talking about 8 years. It's not going insolvent because of mismanagement. It's going insolvent because they're stealing from you. And this is how they're doing it. And of course you're going to panic. And of course you're going to quit when you get found out by people that are meant to dig into your processes and see exactly where the money's going. So we talked about also how Doge is doing this, and this just bears some repeating here. Doge is doing this in a very intense, very, very smart way. They basically flip the paradigm on their head, as opposed to going into these areas and going, hey, open your books, let us see where it is that you're accounting, and then we'll see if there's malfeasance. They had all they needed was the backside to go look at the data, and they followed the money. When this money was going out the door, they'd be like, hey, wait a second, why USAID, why are you paying $84 million to this and $100 million to that and $200 million to this? Why are you paying this out? And as they pulled that string to go all the way back to the beginning, they're finding rampant fraud, waste, and abuse. The same thing is happening with this. They simply looked at the payments through the tech systems, which they never did before. Famously, Reagan tried to do this back in his term. He tried to look for, you know, people have been talking about spending, you know, time and trying to cut government waste and spending. Obama is making, you know, second Obama reference here. It's terrible. Shout out to Big Mike. But Obama and Clinton are both on video talking about how they want to cut wasteful spending and how they don't want to do this. Now, the fact of the matter is, until you look at the entitlements, Social Security, and some of these other things, Medicare, Medicaid, until you look at those entitlements, you're not going to make any real sweeping changes. And Elon is not talking about the entitlements now. Donald Trump is saying that he's not going to touch the entitlements. I was at Sprouts. I'm very fancy. I shop at Sprouts. That's like my bottom line grocery store, right? There's like Whole Foods and Sprouts are kind of on the same level. And then there's all the other trash that poor people shop at. I don't do that. So there I was in the line at a beautiful Las Vegas Sprouts, just getting, you know, whole milk, really good organic food, you know, all that other stuff. Yeah. What's up, Big Mike? Big Mike. I was getting all the goodies that I need to keep this body humming. You know, I'm trying to live forever. So there I am. The guy in front of me strikes up a conversation, says that he's a veteran. I was like, oh, that's tight. Thanks for your service, man. Yeah, I was into, it was a cool thing, you know, whatever else. And he's like, oh yeah, man, I'm just trying to hold on to these entitlements. There's no telling what Trump and what Elon are going to do. And I was like, bro, I'm a veteran. They said plainly that they're not going to touch that. Do you think they're going to take away your VA benefits? Like, that's just not happening. But I will tell you, if we're talking about like really taking the government debt down, privatization of Medicare, Medicaid, privatization of the Social Security Administration and the funds which they have applied, it's ridiculous. I saw a meme today where they just did the math. And if you pay, like, the maximum you can pay in per year essentially to Social Security is around $10K. If you do that for like 60 years, the most that you'll get out is something like $4,000. If you put that same amount just into the S&P market, just betting on the market, which only goes up, you'd have $33,000 a month, as opposed to the $4,000 that our seniors are getting now. Now, Doge is doing some great stuff. Donald Trump is doing some great stuff, floating no tax on senior citizen, no tax on a whole bunch of other stuff to try to make this a little bit more palatable. But let me say it again, to button up this entire Social Security issue and what Doge is doing. Social Security isn't going to become insolvent because Social Security isn't managed properly. It's going to go insolvent because the Democrats have been absolutely robbing you blind, and they've been using this to launder their money. That is exactly why it is. Now, if there's one thing I love, it's a good collaboration. And you know that about me. I love the collabos. And I love the collab between Donald Trump and some of the smartest tech people. Again, Obama set the standard and set the rules for what USDS is supposed to be. I would say that Donald Trump just did them one better by allowing them to have a little bit more oversight, getting the smartest tech people to get after some of the stuff that we're talking about. But there's another alliance, another allegiance that I really, really like. And it's the MAHA, Make America Healthy Again alliance, with MAGA, with Make America Great Again. This is probably the single reason between Gen X voting and the MAHA-MAGA alliance. The MAHA alliance is full of angry moms, angry patriot moms that for years have watched their children have wild allergies that they're not supposed to have, that watched in the early 70s. We didn't have a 72 vaccine schedule. That happened in 1977, 1978. And then when we started recording the data, now this is going to get crazy, everybody, but correlation doesn't equal causation, but I could point to the exact year where autism rates in America skyrocketed to now we are 1 in 36. It used to be 1 in 1,000 children. It's now 1 in 36. That coincides perfectly. Those two graphs overlay on the vaccine schedule. and autism rates in America. Now, I'm not saying that that is causation versus correlation. I'm just presenting you some facts. You can go check those out if you want. Well, speaking of collaborations that I absolutely love, Tyler Minton, if you don't know, he's a longtime friend of the One's Ready podcast. He's an awesome dude. He hits me up and he goes, "Hey, Aaron, I want to collab with you on this video." And he was using sarcasm that I didn't catch initially. And he was like, "Oh yeah, look at all the terrible things that they're doing here." And I was like, "Wait, hold on, who's doing terrible stuff?" And he's like, "Bro, I was joking." So here we go. Tyler Minton, nutritionist, super cool dude, short reel about the MAHA movement.
Executive order establishing the Make America Healthy Again Commission has come out. Before I start, know that I have a Master of Science in Human Nutrition and I'm a registered dietitian. If you don't know, registered dietitians are the only medical professionals with the education and the licensure to provide nutrition therapy and nutrition programs. As a medical professional, I'm supposed to be furious about this whole thing, and I'm not. I'm just not. And let me explain why. First off, we have the purpose of this whole thing. American life expectancy significantly lags behind other developed countries with pre-COVID-19. United States life expectancy averaging 78.8 years and comparable countries averaging 82.6 years. This equates to 125 billion fewer life years for the United States population.
Let's just stop there. 125 billion? What? Like, holy crap, bro. Like, you're telling me that life expectancy in America has taken such a hit and we can't figure out why? Continue, Tyler.
That's a really weird statistic. 6 in 10 Americans have at least one chronic disease, and 4 in 10 have 2 or more chronic diseases. An estimated 1 in 5 United States adults lives with a mental illness. This concern applies urgently to America's children. In 2022, an estimated 30 million children, that's 40.7%, had at least one health condition such as allergies, asthma, or an autoimmune disease.
Now, you'll remember RFK during his confirmation thing, they kept hitting him on this stuff like, "Oh, do you think vaccines are safe? Oh, do you think this is safe? Oh, do you think this is safe? Blah, 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 blah." And he came back and he was like, "Listen, American kids are sick. I know for a fact, like I grew up around a lot of kids. None of us had allergies." He has like 7 kids. He's like, why do 4 of my kids have allergies that popped up out of nowhere? Why are we seeing the rise in depression and anxiety, autism, all of these other interconnected health problems? Why are we seeing cancer skyrocketing? I just don't understand what it is. And he said, and I quote, "I'm just here to help America's kids be less sick."
Autism spectrum disorder now affects 1 in 36 children in the United States, a staggering increase from rates of 1 to 4 out of 10,000 children identified with
10,000. I was off by a factor of 10. 1 to 4 and a factor of 10,000 children before did not have autism.
Condition during the 1980s. Seems pretty important.
Fantastic. Go follow Tyler Minton over on the Instagrams. He's an awesome dude. Very no nonsense. Serum, True Serum podcast is fantastic. This alliance between MAGA and MAHA is something to behold. And I'll tell you what, if they continue to go this way, when RFK is going to take a hammer to everything that's going on, and he's going to do it doing something that I personally connect with, and it's protecting children. That's my entire mantra as an American citizen, as an American patriot. I love this country and I protect children. I do that in all things. And there is nothing that I won't do to protect children. Your children, my children, it does not matter. If I see you hurting a kid in my presence, you can go ahead and get the silver bracelets ready because your boy's going to jail. I'm gonna fuck you up. We have to protect our children. We have to realize that our children are being harmed by this unhealthy alliance that we have. The rise of fast food, the rise of processed sugars. Just looking at Canadian Fruit Loops, there's like 4 ingredients in Canadian Fruit Loops. The 51st state. They're going to get smoked in that hockey game too. I can't wait. You poke the bear and that's what you got. 3 unanswered goals. Take that. Freebird, baby. Anyway, America has all kinds of crap in our food. And he called that out. And then people like, Bernie Sanders, who got more than $1 million from big pharma, Elizabeth Warren, money from big pharma. They all tried to block his nomination. And it's because just like Doge and just like Elon Musk, he is going to crack this thing wide open. And accountability is coming. All right, little topic change here. So, man, if Canada is like America's attic, right? Like your attic, like you go up there every once in a while, you look around, you're like, oh, look at all this cool shit up here, and then you leave for another like 6 months and you don't see it again, and you really don't think about it ever until you're like, oh, I need something from the attic. That's America's attic, right? Well, America's basement is a little bit of a different story. So the United States is going to start engaging a little bit more in Mexico, some to the chagrin of many. So the CIA may play a larger role combating Mexican cartels under Trump. So we talked about it on the War Room this last week. We did a good deep dive. Our longtime guest and good friend Nate from Valhalla VFT, he did a great video on how this could go wrong, and I'll play you a little snippet from that. But basically, we're going to send the Green Berets. We're going to go down to Mexico. We're going to start training the Mexican Marines. Listen, this has happened for a long time. It's happening for decades. It was just never approved by the Mexican architecture to say, hey, you guys are allowed to come here and do the train, advise, and assist mission. Who knows if that's going to turn into train, advise, assist, and accompany? We don't know what's going on. We do know that the CIA is flying drones and flying surveillance aircraft over the country of Mexico for the first time. The Central Intelligence Agency, oh, and this is from like the SAN Straight Arrow News. So SAN Straight Arrow News. The Central Intelligence Agency could take on a larger role in battling Mexican drug cartels under President Trump. Mexican drug cartels are known to be powerful and violent criminal organizations, primarily involved in trafficking drugs and humans. So that is going to be the bigger trafficking money maker very, very soon. There are some estimates that in 2 years, human trafficking and its outgrowth will actually supplant the drug trade for how much money it brings in. CIA Director John Ratcliffe plans to shift agency resources to its counter-narcotics mission and district and disrupt the cartel network. One person told the Post anonymously. Countering drug cartels in Mexico and regionally is a priority for the CIA as part of the Trump administration's broader effort to end the grave threat from narco trafficking, said a CIA spokesperson. Director Ratcliffe is determined to put the CIA's unique expertise to work against this multifaceted challenge. Now, it's not that I don't trust the CIA, okay? It's not that I don't trust the CIA, but it's that I don't trust the CIA. And we've done this before. I don't know if you guys are aware, but in this place called Iraq, okay? We used to go there all the time. I've been there a couple times. The locals hated me. The food sucked. 0 out of 10. Do not recommend. Don't go to Iraq. It's not cool at all, bro. It's pretty lame, actually. In Iraq, there were these couple, militant folks, right? And we thought that they were good militants, and the CIA armed them. And then later they turned into ISIS. Okay, that happens every single time. Look at Afghanistan and the Taliban. Look at the Taliban having military parades with our $7 billion of equipment that we left over there for them after turning them into an army that could withstand the predations of everybody, the Afghan National Army. Oh, well, they can resist the predations of the Taliban. That place fell in a week. The second that Big Daddy America wasn't there actually operating that equipment, the Taliban simply took all that stuff. It's happened time and time and time again. Every single time that we've done this thing where we send in our military or paramilitary forces to train some sort of partner group, it almost always blows up terribly. Mujahideen, anyone? Remember when we did that? Soviets, Afghanistan? Bear went over the mountain. Bear went back over the mountain. Nothing? Okay, cool. So anyway, so Nate from Valhalla VFT, he did a great video on this. Go check out Valhalla VFT. You can check him out on the War Room when we go live on Fridays. He is a longtime guest. He shows up every time that I can't do it. And he's an awesome guy. And here he's going to talk a little bit about the history of training in Mexico and a little bit more about a little thing called Los Zetas. I just love that he said, that was a big whoopsie. I'd say that's a whole bouquet of oopsie daisies right there. And he is referencing, obviously, the Mujahideen in Afghanistan, which, unfortunately, we just backed the wrong horse, y'all. Oh, man, no audio playing. Guess what? Guys, I didn't share the screen. I'm an idiot. I sat here like an idiot while you guys couldn't hear anything and I couldn't see the chat. Here, let me do it the right way. And I apologize. You guys are better than that. I'm going to rewind a little bit here.
A little bit about that. All right. So Initially, the Los Zetas cartel was a Mexican paramilitary group, which was the Mexican Airborne Special Forces group. That 7th group was down training in the late 90s to do counter narcotics and different things like that, right? What this really turned out to be was a massive failure in intelligence and understanding who we were working with, all right? So a big whoopsie on the CIA, the D.O.G.E, and yes, we do have a track record of arming, supplying, training, equipping the wrong people sometimes, okay? You guys all know that. Plenty of stories around the world about that. Syria, Afghanistan, all these different things. But so what people don't understand is that they were actually a paramilitary unit that was fighting off resistance forces early in their inception, and they were insanely violent.
So that's to say the least. To say the least, they were insanely violent. I do want to get out the way real quickly. Grand Thumb's Grand Thumb's conscience. I believe we need more trans women. It's more chicks for me to get pregnant. That is a layered joke, my guy, but it's a super chat. I just want to say thank you very much. I appreciate you very much for having that in there. But that is an unhinged comment, and I am here for it. So listen, we've backed the wrong horse before. I can come up with a million examples of us backing the wrong horse and going, hey guys, maybe we shouldn't have armed those people that ended up being ISIS. That's a pretty good example. Hey, we shouldn't have armed the Mujahideen that turned out to be the Taliban. Like, we should really do that. So we'll see what happens. Is it going to be Los Zetas, 2.0? Is it going to be a good thing? Are they actually going to help? Are they actually going to help us secure the southern border, stop the flow of fentanyl, and make sure that Americans are safe so that we don't have this flow of illegal immigrants in? Yeah, I hope so. Do I hope that they're able to take the training that we're giving them and take the fight to the narco terrorists that are the cartels? Listen, I'm here for it. Am I optimistic? Absolutely not. That's not what we do here. That is not what we do here at all. I want to give a quick shout out to our friend Jasmine. Jasmine's in the chat. Shout out Jasmine. She hit us up on the Warroom channel today. And again, please go follow the Instagram over at the Warroom. If you guys are watching here and you guys are liking what we're doing, please give us a like, give us a follow. It's free. And you get to interact with us. You can ask us anything on there. We respond to DMs all the time. And we're just trying to grow this little thing into a beautiful, beautiful big bald eagle. That's what I assume our page is going to turn into. Right now, we're just a little egg. We're trying to get into a big bald eagle. We need your help for that. But I asked one question. I was like, hey, what do you want to talk about? Jasmine hit me up right away. And she said, hey, you know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about Trump leaving NATO. Now, here's the thing here. So this news broke. It's on Newsweek right now. Is Trump considering leaving NATO? Unverified, unevidenced claims spread. Now, this has never stopped the left-wing media before from talking about these things. President Donald Trump's administration left European leaders reeling last week, prompting unattributed rumors that he was considering withdrawing the United States from the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the militaristic pact that has bound the U.S. and Europe since 1949. Now, if you didn't see it, J.D. Vance was created in a lab to actually make people's heads melt down. His mentor, Peter Thiel, guided him through his political career after he graduated from the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes. He's a graduate of the Ohio State, and then he got an advanced law degree. He graduated Ohio State, by the way, in like 3 years, and then got his law degree, I believe, from Harvard immediately afterwards. The guy is a superhuman. He's super young. He's 39. He's great on the internet. He basically went to Europe in front of everybody's faces and basically tongue lashed them and had people literally crying. People were literally crying. Now, that drops at the same time that 61 Minutes, which is a dumb show and a dumb refresh on the name, they actually went on a ride along with German police as they were arresting people for memes. And if you haven't seen those videos, they're absolutely wild, right? But J.D. Vance said, hey, unless you guys start taking on some of our shared values here, America and Europe can essentially be done. Well, this led to wild speculation across the board. Trump has floated leaving NATO before. You guys know this. You guys are all smart here in the chat. I know that you guys understand this, but we're going to say it for a couple of the dumb people that are listening, because there are a couple dumb people. I won't say who. A couple of the dumb people, what they will tell you is that, Trump said he's going to leave NATO. No, as we learned last week, Trump operates from the maximalist position. He goes in and he basically goes, you guys better do this. You better bend the knee, because if not, Big Daddy America is going to come in here and we're going to own it all. He does it all the time. And then he gets more out of the deal than he did. We saw it in Gaza. Everybody freaked out. We talked about it last week, said, he's going to take over Gaza. He's going to own it. No, that made the king of Jordan bend the knee and say, we're going to start taking Palestinians. And that made everybody in the Middle East want to do their own thing. I see this. And again, the tweet that is referenced here in this actual, as we go back to here, I'm blanking on the guy's name. Dominic Michael Trippi posted Sunday on X. This has since been deleted. Breaking: President Donald Trump is reportedly considering withdrawing the U.S. from NATO. Neither this nor similar posts by other commenters included references to verified information that supported their newest claim. This stuff has been floating around, and they talk about it. Flood the zone. My man Carter, you're exactly correct. Flood the zone. Shout out to this chat. You guys are the smartest people on the face of the planet. This is why we're the new media. Congratulations. Carter, you're the man. You're exactly correct. Flood the zone. So, you know, Trump has said this a bunch of times, but it's really because the rest of Europe has no compunction to actually like fund their own stuff. Like they you know, JD Vance said in his speech, he doesn't think 2% is enough. 2% is about what everybody pays in Europe to defend their own borders. 3% isn't enough. Neither is 4%. He said, I think 5% of your GDP is what you should do. Now, Trump, to his credit, he's going to come in here and he's going to be like, no, you guys don't get to use the American might. There is no NATO army. Remember the Dave Chappelle show where he was like, oh, you know what, NATO? How about you sanction me with your army? Oh, you don't have an army? You can shut the fuck up. Because America is NATO's army. That's it. All of the force behind NATO and Article 5 and World War III and all this other stuff that people want to hem and haw about. The only reason all that stuff has teeth is because big gorilla in the room, America, will actually dick you down if you decide to talk Willie. That's it. That's 100% it. And finally, we have a president that's leveraging that fact to get Europe to figure out what they're going to do. Now, my personal opinion, get out of NATO. NATO was meant to stop incursion into Europe. It was meant to stop the spread of the Nazis and all this other stuff. And since 1945, nobody in Europe has given a single shit, to include paying their fair share, which I thought the Democrats were in favor of paying their fair share. I thought for sure that we were going to have an alliance of people. That's not how it works. They expect us to pay for everything. They expect us to show up with our military when somebody talks to them crazy, and they'll even provoke conflicts and then try to drag America into war, like we saw with Ukraine and Russia. If you guys are so scared about Russia, you guys should start spending militarily and put about 5% of your GDP away from some of those Green New Deal crap. You guys should stop policing speech. You should stop putting citizens in jail for speech that you don't like. And you should start thinking about your border, because I got to be honest with you, feels pretty comfy cozy over here in America, because we got Canada to the north, we got Mexico to the south, and we got 2 oceans on either side. You guys got a problem with the Russians? Sounds like a regional conflict you all need to work out, and quit drawing America into this thing. We get lambasted on the world stage all the time. Oh, it's not, you know, America is the world police. America has to stop being so world policey. Okay, well, I can tell you how we do that. We pull out of NATO, and Europe handles Europe's problems. You guys got your own problems with immigration. You guys got your own problem with this woke agenda that's infected everything that you guys are doing. And now you have a problem with Putin? Great, go fight Putin. It's going to take more of your GDP, though, and you don't get to call in Big Daddy America when you need help. How about that? So, Jasmine, shout out. Thank you for asking for that. You know, we'll see what happens. Again, it's an unverified report. The guy that said it deleted that tweet right off the rip, but the internet lives forever. So I saw it, and I saw it. I can't believe I seen it. So that's it. Trump says he's going to leave NATO. We don't know. We'll figure it out. Time. Ladies and gents, boys and girls, they, thems of all ages. Time for 2 things. One of them I like, one of them I hate. The first thing that I'm going to bring up is something that I really, really like. So Pete Hegseth is my favorite politician. He's a politician now, right? He's appointed as a SECDEF. Those guys are politicians, whether you like it or not. Pete Hegseth says he's going to launch a probe in the Afghanistan withdrawal. The U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has initiated an investigation into the Afghanistan withdrawal under the Biden administration following the deaths of 13 service members. Hegseth's move comes after significant critique from various political figures regarding the chaotic execution of the withdrawal in 2021. The investigation aims to establish accountability for the events that unfolded during this period. Now, let me talk about HKIA for a second. Not a single damn person that was in charge, from the president to the SECDEF to that fat piece of shit chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the time, Mark Milley, not a single person was fired. We lost 13 service members. There were pictures of Afghanis falling from C-17s that were piloted by people that I know and talk to. The optic of that event did more harm across the world than any other single withdrawal on the face of the planet. It was a retreat. We left our partners in the dead of night. Tens of thousands of our partners and Americans were stranded in Afghanistan, and not a single person was held accountable for that. As a matter of fact, they went on to get very nice, very good paying jobs. You had Secretary Austin, who had a long history of just being a general turbo virgin, who never divested himself from all of the investments that he made, making money off of the military industrial complex, even as he served as the SECDEF gay Darth Vader, whatever he's walking around with that crap on his face outside. And Mark Milley, that fat piece of traitorous shit. He didn't, maybe he didn't commit treason, but he definitely committed sedition. When he went against his commander in chief, the president, Donald Trump, number 45, when he said that he was going to call, and in fact did call, China to warn them of impending military actions, that's called sedition. You should be brought back in. You should be court-martialed. You should be demoted to the lowest rank possible. And then you should go to Leavenworth. And even then, that's probably not enough. The fact that no one was held accountable for the Afghanistan retreat after 20 years of GWOT is probably the biggest black eye that America's had in the last 20 years. There's ways that we could have gotten out of Afghanistan that didn't look like that didn't leave our partners and our friends and our allies and the interpreters and everybody that worked with us to die. We didn't have to leave Afghanistan to the predations of the Taliban, where they're 100% enacting Sharia law all across the country and absolutely decimating whatever gains the women of Afghanistan made. And again, it's such a weird thing to try to wrap your head around. But for a party that says they absolutely love women and trust all women and believe all women, the fact that they would just leave an entire country of women and girls to the predation of sick, backwards, Stone Age madmen. And we did that optically. We handed it over optically via the Afghanistan withdrawal. The fact that nobody did a thing as far as accountability is concerned, I'm out. I've never been more upset about a thing. And that's as a guy that, I was deployed during the run up to that. I had friends that were on the ground during that event. You should go listen to our HKI episodes over on 130. We talked to the two team leaders that were credited with more than 10,000 saves in that event. It's a whole big deal. You should really go check it out and see exactly what's going on. But good on Pete Hegseth. He's doing exactly what we need him to do. He's being a young disruptor. He obviously isn't captured by the political gay Darth Vader. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Gay Darth Vader. Secretary Austin. No, I won't. If you start wondering who you're talking about. Okay, that's fair. That's a good critique, Simon. That is a good critique. I should say their name, Secretary Lloyd Austin, a.k.a. Gay Darth Vader, a.k.a. the guy from Fat Albert. I'm sorry. I appreciate that input. Thank you very much. We're here for you. So Pete Hegseth, continue. You're doing great. And now, on to my favorite thing that I find every day. Every time I do this bad boy. The dumbest politician of the week this week, brought to you by Senator Tim Kaine. Now, Tim Kaine, what you're going to see here is what we like to call in the business a fucking liar. Okay? That's what this is. This is a lie that Tim Kaine says as if it was true.
I don't like letting unelected officials, post. Yesterday, the Doge guys post classified information on their website, and they had to realize, we didn't realize that agency was a classified agency. You shouldn't let people run rampage through offices that have classified information. I don't like letting unelected officials, post. Yesterday, the Doge guys post classified information on their website, and they had to realize, we didn't realize that agency was a classified agency.
Yeah, that's what we call a lie in the game, everybody. That did not happen. He made that up out of whole cloth. Tim Kaine, you are the dumbest politician this week. I can't believe that you're even allowed to be in politics anymore after that blatant lie. And to think that you could actually sink lower than being Hillary Clinton's VP. As you can hear, my son is having a little issue, so we're going to cut this one a little bit short. I would normally do a real long wrap up, but for this week, we're going to call that one good. Apparently, my son's bleeding, and I'm over here up podcasting. It's not a popular thing, so I'm going to go fix that. I'm sure he's okay. Make sure to follow us. Catch us next week at the Political Sit Rep, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure to check the War Room out, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Leave your comments in the chat. I appreciate it. Follow us on the War Room and everywhere you can find me. Aaron Loves America. Aaron Loves America on Twitter. Or you can just Google my name. It's douchey, but it's the fastest way to find me. And for that,